It's a great day for this Tuesday, the 14th of April, as we are loving local here on the program like we do each and every day. And this morning, we welcome Paula Killian to the desk from Killian's Custom Metal Roofing and Panel. And first thing, we're going to start off with, you're not from around here. Where are y'all from?
I'm from Arkansas.
Arkansas. All right, we'll get that out of the way, first and foremost.
Exactly.
When did you move here?
In 2008.
And when did the business get up and going?
Winter of 2013. So really, if you'll remember that winter, spring of 2014.
Okay.
Sold my first order in April of 2014 to Boone.
What brought you here? What brought you to Iowa from Arkansas?
Love. I followed a man. I wanted the business for 10 years. I mean, I knew I wanted this type business. It just took a lot of capital, so I just kept saving. And I was been with him for over 10 years, and he's like, let's do it in Des Moines. There's no one there. And so here I am in Des Moines. I get that, you know, every customer, it's all, you know, pretty much 80–90% men. They're like, what are you doing up here? Because they know I'm not from here.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your business. Tell us a little bit about what it is and what you do.
I manufacture the metal panel you see everywhere on pole barns, machine sheds for the farmers, and what I'm hoping will take off is residential roofing.
Okay.
Now, you were saying that you've been developing this for about 10 years now. What made you want to go into a business like this?
I started selling raw goods to people who do what I do in 1998, and I just loved it. I loved how they, you know, little small places, take the order, make it, the guy comes and picks it up. I just liked it. I kind of got obsessed with it and was like, I'm going to have one. I wanted one in my hometown in Arkansas, and somebody beat me, and it wasn't big enough for two. So,
So
I started kind of looking
So
around.
you manufacture the actual pieces?
Yes.
Wow. How big of a
Yes.
piece of equipment is that does that?
The machine itself, it's about 60-something feet. 'Cause
Whoa.
It goes in flat and comes out formed, and then cuts to the length.
How much does that thing weigh?
It took 2 forklifts with 10,000 plus capabilities to get it off the truck.
Oh my goodness, that's a massive machine.
And you mentioned residential roofing, and when people think of metal roofs, they think of machine sheds, maybe barns. They don't think of residential roofing, and you want to change that perception.
Yes, I want them to know that it's the difference. I mean, already up here is what they call a concealed fastener. You'll see the little narrow panels. You don't see any kind of screws. The system that I manufacture, it's much less expensive, but you know, doesn't wear out or nothing happens to metal. It's there. So I'm trying to start a library of pictures of, you know, houses on the south side and around Iowa. I mean, you'll see it out, and if you get out of town, Pella is covered in it. Grinnell is getting there, Knoxville. I mean, if you go to smaller towns, you'll see a lot of it on houses.
So why are people going to your type of material to put on their roofs?
It's affordable. It's the last one you'll have to put on, short of baseball-sized hail. And it's energy. I mean, it reflects heat instead of just sitting there absorbing it. I mean, the paint people, I use Valspar. They've really worked hard to make the paint reflect, last, don't fade, you know, because it's on people's houses. You don't want it to look bad.
Does it sound like a snare drum when you get heavy rain?
No, it doesn't. If
Yeah.
you were wanting that romantic, oh, raindrops on the roof, no.
You can't make it hollow to make him happy.
You can't hear it any better than you can shingles.
Now, you mentioned you work with Valspar to have them, so they coat the actual material. So how often do you have to paint the material that you create?
That's all done at paint lines. Most of my stuff has come out of either St. Louis or Ohio. And paint lines will use Valspar paints, other paints, you know, but Valspar sells it to the people I buy from. So when it comes to me, it looks like a giant paper towel roll, or, you know, it's just a big roll of metal, flat, big roll.
And how long does that color stand?
It should stand close to 40 years.
Wow.
Like a car. You know, you don't notice your car's faded a little until you take a piece of trim off, and then you go, wow, that's faded a little.
Okay.
So you want it to be consistent, and that's what they've worked really hard on, is so you don't notice. If you see a metal product that's badly white and faded, it was never a good paint.
A couple years ago, I live in Western Urbandale. We had a hailstorm come through. The hail never got bigger than marbles. It wasn't big hail. It was wind driven. We had about 75-mile-an-hour winds. Had to replace the whole roof. There are people like that out there after every storm season that are looking at replacing a roof, and they see this nice lady from the south on TV. How would you convince them to go with a metal roof over asphalt shingles?
Other than the cost, for one, if you care, the shingles don't go in the environment. You don't take them off. When you commit to metal, you just buy lumber and you put it underneath and right on the shingles. So you don't scrape it, throw that away. You leave it on there.
Okay.
And then you go hanging metal. It's kind of like wallpaper. First sheet needs to be straight, and then you just go. And you remember the one important thing, water drips down. And so any flashing you do, you want to make the water have a clean, slope to the ground, just come off your roof. So they really, if they'll just look at them and, and see that, wow, sometimes you'll see them and you don't even realize it's metal, and then you're like, wow, that was metal. And it's just it's a permanent roofing system. It's affordable. It's actually cheaper than 30-year architectural shingles.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, you keep saying affordable and costs like that. Can you give us an idea of what it might be? I know every structure is a little bit different.
The panel itself is about $65 a square.
Okay.
And then when you add trim is something, it's aesthetic. You don't have to put trim on everything just to stop leaking. You can just put the metal up there and ridge cap, but most people want it to look nice.
So how many styles do you end up creating?
I can create the one. The one panel is all my machine will run.
Okay.
And that's that style right there.
Okay. Gotcha.
And I'm sorry, Jason, do you install the panels itself, or you just create the material and
I just do the
else?
orders. I've got a couple of local roofing companies that will do metal, and they'll take my referrals. Like, yesterday I get a homeowner and he says, I want metal on my house, but I don't know where to start. And I was like, well, right here is a good place. So he'll come. He said he would come to my showroom, pick out, look at my colors and all this. And he's an elderly, retired man. So he's like, I'm not putting this on. And I was like, no worries, I'll find you somebody. So by the time you trim it up and everything, it can, it can get the installation and everything. It can get more like $150 to $200 a square, which is still very inexpensive compared to the metal systems, which there's nothing wrong with any metal systems, but they really are expensive. They're up $300-400 a square.
Okay.
The hidden seam kind, the stone coated press shingles, permanent metal roof, but very, very expensive.
Okay, so this is an alternative to that. Perfect.
Yes.
And you're based out of here in Des Moines too.
I'm off of
So
Maury.
you create the material, and then after someone purchases your material, you'll help find someone to install it.
Yes.
Okay.
If it's metal roofing, and then I have
That is
customers
cool.
that they use it. I mean, they make a living with it. They build buildings, do roofs.
So it's the roofing and the panels for the side.
Yes,
too?
because the panel is the same panel as a lot of big box lumberyards sell. It's the same product. It's nothing new about my product. It's just I can turn an order in a day. You're on your job site, you run over a piece. Oh boy,
Now what are we
going to do? Well, just call me and I'll have it ready.
All right,
when you
how do
come.
we call you? That's a great
It's
segue here.
515-244-0770.
Good number too.
Lucky number 7.
244-0770. Get a hold of Killian's Custom Metal Roofing and Panel LLC again for the sides. Again, if you have anything going on, she could turn things around. You just heard she can turn it around in a day. That's unheard of. And you're right here in Des Moines, so you could turn it around. They can just come pick it up.
Yes.
Just that simple.
Yes.
Well, very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
for having me on. I appreciate the exposure. That's half the battle is
That's
people
right.
finding me and
That is
knowing
so
that
cool
I do that
that
here.
you're doing that.
Yeah, it's
It
true.
is 9:20. We'll be right back.